You know who's not worried about paying $40 for a movie ticket? Tom Holland. Tom Holland's not sweating it. Nope. I mean, even under normal circumstances, he's not sweating it. But according to a story in The Wrap, Tom Holland is set to make, hold on to your britches, $100 million for Spider-Man Brand New Day. It will be broken down into a factor of that he got $20 million for doing the movie. And when it's all said and done, his points on it are probably going to add up to him at minimum making $100 million for one movie. 100 millo for one movie. What's quite interesting about this too is when you look back and remember the fact that on top of all of that, when you go back to the original Spider-Man movie that he did, or actually it was before the first Spider-Man movie, when he did Civil War, you know, when Spider-Man made his introduction in Civil War, Tom Holland made $250,000. $250,000 was his paycheck for Civil War. Now, granted, he wasn't in a ton of the movie. He's still basically an unknown and all that kind of stuff. But as the movies have progressed and as the Spider-Man movies started to get into the $1 billion range, he was in a position. And listen, I never fault Jonathan. I never fault somebody asking for what they think they're worth. I will never fault any actor saying, I want $700 billion. That's fine. You can ask. I have no problem with somebody asking for that. It's up to the studios to decide whether or not that's a financially responsible thing to do. Now, of course, with Spider-Man, you're talking about a franchise now that the last movie nearly made $2 billion. The last one nearly made $2 billion. So you know you're in a pretty good seat. Even if this new one doesn't make as much as the last one, it's pretty much assured to make over $1 billion. You're going to make a lot. And so, yeah, Tom is now definitively our Spider-Man. Let's give him the 20, which is a huge upfront payday for an actor. And let's give him points on it so that the more money the movie makes, the more money he makes. I prefer the idea, if you're going to give an actor points, give them a smaller base salary.
That's what I think. I don't see how you make the 20 million mark plus points. That's never made sense to me.
But he knew he was in a position he could ask for it. And so they gave it to him, and more power to him for doing it. Now, lest we think though, I was reading through the article about this, saying that Tom Holland is now worth $100 million a film. And the reality, and listen, before I say this, you guys know, for those, if you haven't watched the show, maybe you don't know this. For those of you who watch our show, you know I am a bona fide Tom Holland fan. Yeah, he's not always in the best stuff, but I've always thought he delivers really good performances. I am a fan of his. I have been from day one. I continue to be a fan of his. But is he now, can we say he's an actor who's worth $100 million? Well, if you look at the box office of the movies he's done where his character's name wasn't Peter or Spider, Parker or Man, it's not the picture of an actor who may in and of himself be worth $100 million. These are the last 8 films that have played in movie theaters to some degree or another that Tom Holland has done that did not have anything to do with Spider-Man. The Current War, again, he wasn't the main lead and it didn't do much, did $12 million. Spies in Disguise did 171. He was just a voice in that. Doolittle, again, a voice, 250. Onward, he was one of the main voices with Chris Pratt. By the way, side note, that's an overlooked movie. Onward is an overlooked movie, and I think it's overlooked because it was that last movie that came out before the pandemic shut everything down with the theaters.
Yeah.
But that's a good little movie. If you haven't checked out Onward, I do suggest you check it out. I think it's a really nice movie. Anyway, made 141. Then he did that movie with Daisy Ridley from Star Wars. Chaos Walking, made $26 million. Then he did Uncharted, which some people thought had the potential of being like a $700 or $800 million movie. Didn't end up being great, so it ended up making 400. And then, of course, you've got the Odyssey that made 1.29 billion. But is there anybody out there that thinks Tom Holland, who I think is very good in the movie? I think Tom's good in the movie. Does anybody think people went to go, that movie made $1.29 billion and climbing because Tom Holland was in it, saying that he's absolutely sure that his dad is coming back? I think that was the entire role.
That was why I went.
Yeah, I got to see how many times he's going to say his dad's coming back.
When he said that line, I cheered, I applauded, I stood up, and then I left because I didn't want that. That's peak Odyssey. So
it's like watching Nicole Kidman saying heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Like, that's why we go to the movies.
That's why I pay $43 for the advanced screen to see that.
Pay the big bucks to go see it. So I don't know that Tom Holland is going to be able to go to any other movie and say, give me $20 million plus points. I think this chart is going to kind of preclude him from that. I think it's going to be kind of like shows us. And you know what? In many ways, Jonathan, this is very reminiscent. And I said this the other day of Robert Downey Jr. You know, everybody thought Robert Downey Jr., who is amazing. I love Robert Downey Jr. Love him. Everybody thought Robert Downey Jr. was this $100 million man because of the success of Tony Stark. But then he went and did a couple of films outside of the MCU. He did Doolittle, which did little. And then he did that other movie that I thought was really good, The Judge. I think that was Robert Duvall. He did that one
Robert
with.
Duvall.
And I think Duvall got an Academy Award nomination for that film, as a matter of fact. It's a really good movie. You should check it out. But nobody did. Nobody went to go see it. And it became one of those things where it's like people were asking, okay, it's undisputed that Robert Downey Jr. is an incredible actor. He's a really good actor. But does everybody want to go see Robert Downey Jr.? Or does everybody want to go see Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark? And I got to wonder if the question for Tom, who I think isn't quite as good of an actor as Robert Downey Jr., but I think is a very good actor. I think the question is going to become, do people want to go see Tom, or do they want to go see Tom as Spider-Man?
Right.
Because when he did Uncharted and he did Chaos Walking, you know, people didn't show up. Now, granted, those weren't big, high-profile films. We'll see what happens when he does some other things. But it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if this pretty much ensures we are, despite anything Tom says, we love him as Spider-Man. We love him, and I love him in this role. And even though he's saying, you know, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this, he's been saying that since the second film. I just want to remind everybody, he's been saying that since the second film. And, you know, I kind of imagine, you know, another character succeeding me and passing the torch, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. I think we're going to see a situation here where the dust is going to settle from this ridiculous worldwide bombastic success of Spider-Man Brand New Day. And he's going to realize that his agent's not coming back to him with anything that's going to pay him $30 or $40 million for other projects. And I think we're going to hear about a Spider-Man 5 on the books pretty soon. Yeah. I don't mean in the next few weeks or anything like that, but I don't think we're going to wait all that long, because he's going to realize there is nowhere else. There is no other IP, and there's no other studio, and there's no other movie that is going to give me a quarter of this money. But if I show up in the Spider-Man leotard, it's dollar bills, baby. They're slapping him out. And I think that is kind of leaning to this idea that we are going to see him back for Spider-Man 5, and probably sooner rather than later.
I think that's pretty much guaranteed. What this does is he's either going to have to take passion projects where it's not about the pay. It's something he wants to do. And I think
he will. He's in a place now. He's earned the right to do that. So I think we're going to see him regardless. I think we will see him do a couple of those.
And he's just doing that. It's like the movies for you and movies for me. Those are going to be the movies for him.
The old George Clooney philosophy.
Yeah. Or he's just going to make sick money and be like, hey, I'm semi-retired aside from Peter Parker. I could see it going either way, you know,
because he and Zendaya have both talked about maybe semi-retiring for a bit. But I just think with this type of money, and he's not going to get that money anywhere else. I think we're gonna see him come back.
It's also going to be a big mistake for any studio to give him like 20 mil on something that's just overblow a budget on something that makes like 150 million. I can see that happening, and it's going to be like, guys, what are you thinking?
Yeah, we're going to have to see at least one film that he leads that comes out and is a big box office hit with him as the driver, him as the main guy. Until that happens, I think he's in very good company with a guy like Robert Downey Jr., where it's like, it's not so much that people are rushing out to see Tom. They're rushing out to see Tom as Spider-Man.
He's in a position like Robert now where they have the money for their own production company. Yeah. And they can be the boss, and they don't have to.
But that's exactly what happened with The Judge. That was literally the exact. Robert Downey Jr. literally produced that movie. He's like, I'm going to make my own movie, and nobody went to go see it. And then, oh, look at that. Because remember around that same time, there was a question about whether Robert Downey Jr. was going to re-sign a new contract with Marvel. And then after The Judge flopped, again, really good movie. You should see it. But after The Judge flopped, magically they got a deal done with Marvel. And so I just wonder if we might see the same thing here. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? According to these reports, it's looking like Tom Holland is lined up to make over $100 million for Spider-Man Brand New Day. And listen, when you look at the success of the film, and I think personally how good he is in the role, good on him for getting it. If the studios don't like how much they had to pay, well, that's on them for giving it to him. But good on him for getting what he thinks he's worth. The question is, can he get that kind of money elsewhere doing other types of projects? And I'm not sure that he can. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts.